So last week we talked about whole steps. Today what we're going to do is review how to find half steps, go over your Flipgrid assignment from last week about how to find whole steps, and we're going to actually combine those two things to go ahead and start learning how to build scales. Again, today is going to be a little bit content intensive. So if you need to go back and watch last week's video to figure out what's going on, or if you need to swing by and ask me questions during my office hours from 12:30 to 2, you are absolutely welcome to do so. Feel free to take all this stuff at your own pace. Do things slowly if you need to. All right, let's get started. All right, fifth grade. So what we have in front of us here is the homework / extra bonus assignment that you had from last week. I'm not really going to call it homework because, let's face it, you all don't need more homework right now. You've got enough to deal with. So this is our assignment from last week talking about how to find whole steps. Remember the week before that, we did our half step assignment where to find a half step, all we needed to do was go half a step higher by going to the next closest note, or half a step lower by going to the next closest note in the opposite direction. So let's take a look at how to do whole steps. We did the whole thing where I ripped apart a Post-it note and I said, here, let's take a look at how many halves it takes to make a whole. We talked about how it takes 2 halves to make a whole. So we're going to use that knowledge and figure out how to do half steps from here. All right, so let's take a look. The first question is, what is a whole step going up from F? So let's start at F. Going up, we need to go to the right on our piano. So let's do 2 halves. Ready? 1 half. Ooh, that's not a straight line, but that's okay. 1 half makes a whole. So a whole step up from F is going to be G. That's large font. All right. Let's keep going. We need to look at a whole step going up from G sharp. Let's take a look at G sharp over here. Let's do 2 half steps to make a whole. Ready? 1 half plus 1 half is a whole. So that means a whole step up from G sharp is going to be A sharp. Remember, I'm using A sharp and not B flat because we're going up. So we're going to use sharps. Let's do question number 3. What is a whole step down from A flat? Here's A flat. Remember, going down, we're going to the left, just like this arrow is pointing. So here's A flat. 2 halves make a whole. So half plus half is a whole. G flat. Now remember, I'm using G flat and not F sharp, because I'm going down. And usually when we go down, we're going to use flats. Last but not least, let's do one more. For the last one, what's a whole step down from F sharp? Here's our F sharp. Half a step plus half a step. There's no black key here, so we just go to the next closest note, brings us to an E. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Oopsie. I can type today. So that's our review from our Flipgrid assessment assignment last week. Now we're going to go ahead and look at how we take these half steps and whole steps and turn them into a scale, especially if you are going to be doing band or strings, probably next year or even and in middle school for sure. You're going to need to know how to do a scale. So let's move on, shall we? All right, so we're going to go ahead and start talking about scales. This part's going to get confusing if you are not familiar with your solfege and if you are not familiar with half steps and whole steps. So you need to review those things. If you need to go and review how to do half steps, I would suggest that you go ahead and look at the videos from, I believe, April 28th. If you need to review how to do whole steps, go ahead and review the video from May 5th. And if you need to review your solfege, well, let's do it right here. Are you ready? Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Let's start it. I'm going to do hand signs for you, and I want you to follow along with me. Are you ready? We're going to do a scale starting from do, going all the way up to high do, and then coming back down. Ready? I haven't warmed up today. Can you tell? Ready? Here I go. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, ti, la, sol, fa, ti, re, do. I'm sure that you could probably sing that better than I did. But what I need you to do is remember the order of the hand signs. If you can't remember the hand signs, that's okay. Just remember the order of the names of the notes, because that's going to be extremely important for the part that we are going to do next. So here we go. Scales. This is going to look a little confusing for you at first, but I promise you it is not as hard as it looks. Let's take a look at this ladder. We all know that solfege goes from bottom to top and lower and higher, etc., etc., etc. We learned all the way back in 4th grade that mi and fa are only a half a step away from each other. That's why it's so close right here. Mi and fa are only half a step away. Try and find the other place where you have two notes that are only half a step away. Right here between T and high do. Remember, it's high do because it has a little marking up here. So those are the two spots that you want to look at. T to do and mi to fa are going to be your two half step areas. Everywhere else, you're going to be using whole steps. So that thing that we talked about last week, whole steps. We're going to go ahead and try making a scale for ourselves. Now, I hopefully made my font nice and small, a little too small, but that's okay. We're going to go ahead and try to build our own scale. Do you see how this says C over here? The way you name a scale is by the first note it starts with. So this scale is going to be called C major because the first note that we start with is C. All right, let's get this mamma jamma started. We have C. Luckily enough for us, there's a C all the way over here. Do to re is a whole step. So let's do that together. Follow me with your finger. Starting on C, half a step plus half a step makes a whole step. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. So let's go ahead and figure that one out. That means our do is C, and our re, that is a whole step away, is D. All right, let's keep going. Re to mi is a whole step. Follow me with your finger here. Starting on D, half a step plus half a step equals a whole step. So that means that mi, which is a whole step away from re, is going to be the letter E. Wrong typing, Mrs. Thomas. Let's keep going. This is where things get interesting. Remember, fa and mi are close together because it's only a half a step away. So think about that. We have half a step. Oh, look, conveniently enough, there's no black key in between E and F. So we just move straight to the F. Oh, look, that means if mi is E, then fa is F. Let's keep going. Fa to so, think, whole or a half step. How big is the gap? Looks big to me, that means it's a whole step. Ready? Half plus half is whole. That means so is going to be G. Let's keep going. So to la, is a whole step. Half plus half is a whole. That means la has to be an A. I know, I promise you, this is going to get a little faster now once we start getting used to this. Let's see. A, la, to T is a whole step. So whole step is a half step plus a half step. We have a B here. That means our T has to be a B. And last but not least, T to do is a half step. Look how close they are to each other. That means we don't go to the black key. Oh, look, there's no black key here anyway. So half a step higher than B is C. Now, please note, get it? Note. Please note that our two do's, because we did it correctly, are the same. C major ends with a C. Do to do. C to C. We followed all the directions for whole steps and half steps. Just be careful. I wish I could draw. Oh, you know what? I can draw a shape. Just be careful right here where there's a half step. And be careful right here where there is also a half step. Now, this might be a lot for you to take in right now, so don't worry too hard about it. But the biggest takeaway I want you to get from this up here is that everything is going to be a whole step. The only places where it's not is going to be mi and fa. Take a look at the way the hand sign is for fa. It points down to mi. That's how you know they're half a step away from each other. One finger pointing down to mi. The other place where you're going to find a half step is going from T to do. Do you see how T is pointing upwards towards do? T likes to lead to do when you're singing, and fa likes to lead to mi when you're singing, or just in general in music when you write it. That's kind of a rule that a lot of composers and people who write music try to work with. So let's see. We know how to do half steps. We know how to do whole steps. And we know the basic way to look for a scale. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to try and make a scale of your own. I'm going to give you a little bit of help with it to start off, but I want to see if you can do a scale of your own using whole and half steps. Some of you will have absolutely no problem with this. Some of you are going to have a little bit more difficulty with this. And if you have a little bit more difficulty, please, 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 please come to my office hours on Blackboard. I'm there from 12:30 until 2 o'clock on Monday through Thursday. And if you can't see me then, shoot me an email or ask me a question on Google Classroom, and I will get to you as quickly as possible. You may need some help for this. If you are on the opposite end of the spectrum and you are having a blast with this and this is totally easy for you to do, then I want you to try and pick a starting note and try and build a scale wherever you start with picking a starting note. So let's see. I'm going to have you build your own scale. And I'm going to go over the rules with you. You ready? All right, fifth grade, for your Flipgrid assignment this week, you are going to build your own scale. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the work that we just did, and I'm going to show you the blank sheet that you're going to need to fill out for your assignment this week. Capiche? Capiche. Ready? So this is what we did just now, is we were in C major. We are in C major. We started at C, and we went up the ladder, finding our whole steps and half steps, and using this piano keyboard. Now, please note, there are half steps between mi and fa. and T and do. Also note that I don't have any doubles of any letters except for do and do. Both of them are C's, and there's a reason for that. It's because they're both do. So if you finish your assignment and you look and your two do's are different letters, that means you probably got it wrong and you should probably try again. So let's move on to what I want you to do for this week. I want you to do your scale in G major. I already went ahead and I did the nice thing of giving you your first note and naming your scale for you. I want you to take a look and figure out how to fill in these bubbles. What I want you to do is on a piece of paper, I want you to draw your own ladder, and I want you to fill out all of these letters. You don't have to really worry about the stars, but I do want you to draw this stuff inside the red box. So your assignment is going to be the stuff inside this red box that I want you to draw on a piece of paper and show me on Flipgrid. Just like we did in the example, you're going to build a scale with half and whole steps. Be careful of the half steps here between mi and fa. Be careful of the half steps between ti and do. You are not allowed to use the same letter twice. So for example, you are building a scale, let's say, and you find there's an F and there's an F sharp. And you want to build your scale, let's see, G, A, B, C, D sharp, E. This is just an example. So let's pretend that you're doing your work and this is what you end up with. Take a look. There's an F and an F sharp. It uses the same letter twice. You cannot have that. That means your answer is probably wrong, and it means you probably need to try again. So this is bad juju. Don't do it. And just like I said before, if you did it right, your first and last notes should be the same. So real quickly, draw the stuff inside the red box. Write in the correct letters. Watch out for your half steps. Make sure your first and last letter are the same. And do not repeat any letters except for the first and last letter. Remember, if you need help with this, you are always allowed to come to me during my office hours from 12:30 until 2. I can always help you with it there. And it'll probably be easier for me to help you with it there because I can actually go and show you what my piano might look like. So think of it that way, right? Good luck. Have fun. And if you need my help, let me know. I'll go ahead and see you next week where I promise we'll make it a little bit less brain heavy next time. Ciao.